Hey, real life traders from around the world. Boom. Got them in. Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday. Spelled with an I. We're going to be diving into some trades that we did today and just look over some nice movers out there and do some good review. So here we go. Cue the charts. All right, traders from around the world. So you know it's Wednesday. Let's talk about why. The broader markets had a beautiful gap down today. This is the SPY. And you can see a nice lower shadow from yesterday, and we opened kind of right at that lower shadow, breaking support. And realistically, just coming back to this retest gap action. So weird that we would retest a retest gap, pulling down to the 10 and more or less bouncing. That's realistically it. We had a good range, nice little momentum, some good volume. Actually having a down day on the SPY today. What? Yeah, crazy. Here's the Qs. Qs, kind of the same thing. Nice little volume. Now, again, don't be alarmed if we have a massive bullish day tomorrow. That would not surprise me, even in the slightest, realistically. If we take out the high of today, we're just going to keep on straight up going crush Zilla on this bull market, ladies and gentlemen. So keep an eye out for that. If we start breaking higher, awesome. That's really it on the broader markets. Let's go and get some individual stocks. And first of all, we'll talk about the day trades that we placed today, and then we'll go ahead and discuss some swing trades that I had some requests on. First and foremost, let's talk about the loser. Target, ticker symbol TGT. This was a very nice retest gap. My good friend over there in the West Coast, Kyle Williams, was like, hey man, this is a really good retest gap. Are you going bullish? And I was like, no. So I did lose a little bit on Target. It was a white candle, gapping up to an all-time high, blue chip stock. I thought it would fade a little bit more than it did. Shout-outs to Slavia, who actually got 5 Rs on Target, which is a fantastic job. Really, really well done. So pretty much on Target, just went short. I played it kind of aggressively early this morning. So here's the 1-minute chart. And once it took out the low of this 1-minute candle right there, I shorted it, covered at 119, and then I still had some position left. So I didn't get out of everything, and it traded higher, trade up, and then once it broke the stop, I got out. I got stopped out of my position on Target. Again, for not a massive loss by any stretch of the imagination, but a loss nonetheless. And really just a great retest gap that did not really retest. It just gapped up. If you turn the extended hours off, I mean, we did pull into the moving averages and eventually bounced out of here towards the end of the day, which was that's a brilliant move. It's $3.50. That's a solid chunk of change on Target. But really, this hammer candle right here is very nice. Anyway, bottom line, that was a loser for me. At this point, it's Target. A lot of people like it. I don't really see why it would do anything different than what it did on the last earnings. From here, Target going banana sandwich. Here's the 2 trades that we won on. ACB, aka Aurora Cannabis. So Aurora Cannabis had just some good momentum that broke the high of yesterday's candle. And this one was not on my list at all initially. This was a trade that Hung Lao brought to my attention. So again, just another gorgeous benefit of being a part of real life trading. Just a lot of traders looking at a lot of great moves. And it was just so extended that a lot of us felt that maybe it should at least come into the 10 at some point. So here's how we played ACB. I'll pop over there and just kind of show you the walkthrough of that one. And let's see here. So this was the target trade right here. Again, that just didn't quite play out as well as I would hoped. This is the one I'm about to talk about, which is Square. We'll get to that in just a moment. And this was Aurora Cannabis. So I would have loved to have gotten an Aurora Cannabis. This is the 5-minute chart. Obviously would have loved to take in the break above the first 5-minute candle high, but was not lucky enough to attempt that. So here's how we played it. Was just simply a break above that consolidation. So here's the consolidation, trade sideways, trade sideways, trade sideways, and then broke above right here. Getting in at 256, getting out at 267. Nice little 0.8 R win on Aurora Cannabis. And yeah, that was the trade setup initially. And then again, just kind of walking everyone through. Here's the 10% target at 262. And then, here's the next target, right? Target to exit everything at 267. So you can see just nice and slow, methodical trade. But that was a really nice trade. And then Square's just been an absolute machine right now. Gorgeous move, great bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white candles in a row. So So what I'll be planning on Square is just to buy the dip. I've been mentioning for a while that this gap over here will fill on Square. And if you have a long enough time horizon, shares or leaps or something like that, I think you're going to end up winning on Square. So look to buy some dips. The momentum is strong right now. And this is pretty much how we played Square in the trading room, is once this candle closed above the 5-minute bearish high wave, it was just, hey, play the overall trend, right? It was nothing too crazy about it. Just be bullish. The trend is bullish. So this was the setup, 66.50 by 65.90. You can see this is a 3-minute chart. So if we go into the 3-minute chart on Square, you can kind of see that nice pop-up, good retest. And really, I just used the same exact analysis that I talked about in the webinar 2 weeks ago. Just looked at Square, nice hourly trend here, break above this pattern, good bullish candle pattern on the 15. So just getting in bullish on the 5 over here was just a nice, really, really good trend. So good gain there on Square on the day trade. So nicely done. And from here, we'll just see what it ends up doing. All right, so here's some swing trade requests. Macy's gap down, not on earnings, but a data breach actually. Strong gap and go yesterday. If you're trying to practice your gaps, go and back trade Macy's because it was straight up flawlessly phenomenal. From here, I do not know what's going to happen on Macy's, but I can say is if you do have shares of Macy's long term, you're most likely going to want to get into some puts because it could easily continue lower on earnings. And if it does gap up above 16.13, that's really the only hope that you have, I think, right now for Macy's to really grow over the next few days and weeks. Urban Outfitters. So there's a lot of traders from around the world that are in Urban Outfitters long. And the reason they're in is because I just happen to know a few people who joined a service and they're in on Urban Outfitters bullish from a while ago. There's a lot of services out there that are pretty miserable. So Urban Outfitters, a lot of traders getting in up here in 45 and having to sit all the way through this dramatically terrible sell-off. I don't think it's going to get much better for Urban Outfitters. The challenge with URBN realistically is that not a lot of people shop there in the store, and they have a lot of expensive retail space all across the U.S., but there's a lot of global investors in on Urban Outfitters, and they just don't know how they make money. And the truth is, they're struggling a little bit. So estimates, earnings came in below estimates. Earnings were okay, right? But again, they have just a lot of property and a lot of lease space they're spending tons and tons of money on. Most of their sales coming through online anyway. So Urban Outfitters, at this particular point in time, you do have a lot of bearish candles in a row, but I don't really see anything that's super exciting on Urban Outfitters. Strong gap down on the daily chart. Volume is increasing. Best case scenario, you get a bounce immediately, and by immediately I do mean tomorrow. Otherwise, we're probably just going to keep chopping around and trading down. We most likely would head all the way back down to 20 and then eventually maybe bounce. But again, you just have so many people trapped from up here, people who bought the all-time high breakouts on Urban Outfitters, they're just getting slaughtered. And retail is just struggling anyway. So anyway, that's just kind of a quick breakdown on Urban Outfitters. Where are we at now? High wave, indecision, you're down 15%. Keep a close eye on it. You certainly could get some bullish buying, no question. But if you do not, Urban Outfitters is going to go lower. All right, next on the list is Kirkland Lake Gold, ticker symbol KL. A lot of people are just keeping their eyes on gold in general for some breakouts, and Kirkland is following the 100 simple moving average nicely. Trend looks good. Earnings is over. And here's the weekly chart. Again, just a really nice trend on Kirkland Lake Gold. So it looks like a breakout to me on the weekly chart. So if I was looking at taking this trade, which I'm not, but if I were, I would just look to buy a dip. The trend looks nice. If you have a long enough time horizon on Kirkland Lake Gold, since the trend is bullish, then most likely you should win on that one. Etsy, having some traders requesting Etsy. And I do think Etsy is bullish longer term, but right now, not yet. Here's a monthly chart, and what Etsy is about to do, in my opinion, is come down and retest for the first time, actually, the IPO high back from April 2015, which was about $35.74. I think that's where we're going. A lot of people buying Etsy because they're thinking, hey, it's the holidays, so Etsy's going to go up. And I don't specifically disagree with that. I do plan on buying some gifts off of Etsy over the Christmas holidays. However, I think right now, just based on the technical chart, this makes sense to have a nice long-term pullback, pulling down into this 30-ish area and then getting some type of bounce. So if you're playing Etsy, in my opinion, I would just slowly start accumulating it, buying some shares, because I do think it can recover, but right now with the gap on earnings, it's just going to be struggling a little bit. That was a strong gap below all major support levels, trapping everybody. It was a retest gap. It did retest, and it's starting to roll over. So yeah, you can see if you're playing Etsy, just be a little bit on the cautious side for the bulls. Give it some time, because it is going to take some time. All right, the last two, Nvidia and then Tesla. Nvidia, a lot of people are bullish on Nvidia, and rightfully so. You got this really bearish candle on earnings, and then we immediately close above the high of that candle. So realistically, I'd be kind of bullish on Nvidia. I wouldn't be bearish on it, at least not right now. If you're going bullish, buy it as low as you can, or just kind of stay in long. A lot of traders have some shares and they're doing covered calls. I think that makes the most sense. I'm right now in a 220, 260 June 2021 bull call spread, which is a debit spread. So just looking to take advantage of what I think is going to be kind of a slow, methodical grind on Nvidia higher, especially as these weekly moving averages catch up. I think we're going to hang out for the next week or two, not do anything too crazy, probably trap some bulls, trade sideways for a little bit, but eventually I do think Nvidia will go higher. And it's kind of my analysis on Tesla. Tesla has the truck unveil on Thursday, which I think is tomorrow. So depending on how that plays out, obviously Tesla could either run up or pull back finally, and I think the pullback actually makes the most sense. So if we do get a little bit of a pullback on Tesla, 325, buy the rumor, sell the news. Tomorrow will be the news. So if we have a little bit of a pullback on Tesla, that could be a nice bounce to kind of dip and buy into. I do have a synthetic long on Tesla, which is a put sale and long shares. So I'm looking at Tesla to go higher eventually. But yeah, a little bit of a slowdown, a little bit of a rest while we're up here. Buy some dips. Be bullish on Tesla. I personally do believe this bad boy, my friends, is a matter of time before we see the low 400s and then the mid 400s in 2020, especially if they come out with another good quarter of earnings. So it's going to be all about that Y model production. A lot of watchers will be watching for that to occur. And then, of course, from a wave count, I think this could be a 1, 2, 3. This is going to be some type of 4, and then we'll get a wave 5 eventually, which will just have a great move on Tesla. We will see, right? If a lot of people like the trucks, I'm expecting Tesla to go a little bit higher. I do really want, though, to buy some dips on Tesla. The trend is unarguably bullish at this point. Short term, long term, it's sideways, and we're getting up into some resistance zones. All right, my friends, that's all I got. I will be back on Friday for a trade review. And until then, love life, and trade it. Bye.